Hello everyone and welcome back. So we have these attributes and let's go to the shader and I'm going to create a user int, data int, and I'm going to put down a mix node, and the first attribute I need is the inside. I'm going to create red and blue, and the mix is going to be this. So if we plug this here and hit render, we didn't set it to blue. Okay, so the shader is not attached to the RBD outer. And I'm going to copy that, paste it here, and hit render again. I'm trying to get the render to be as fast as possible, but it still takes a bit of time to load the geometry. Great, so we have top and bottom. And in few cases we will get areas where Arnold is not sure or it doesn't sample properly, and what I do is I convert that in. So right now, because it's an integer, Arnold has a hard time to sample the geometry. So what I do is I use float to int, and I plug this in, and I use sail, or I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but this mode, and that will clamp the colors, and it generally tends to fix and mitigate some of these issues. But also the geometry could have interpenetration, so that's very possible. Yeah, it does. And with sampling it will improve, but overall this trick generally helps with, telling Arnold, or help Arnold decide what value to assign to what surface. So we have our inside and outside faces. We want the group. Let's call this inside. I'm gonna copy all of this. I'm gonna import the group, and this is for top and bottom. Same thing, and let's hit render. Cool. So we have two layers, top and bottom. And we're going to use this to drive the shader. So right now we have two shaders, one for the inside and one for the outside. So I'm going to use this for the inside, and let's first use this mix node. And the texture, we're going to mix it between this and this. And let's plug this into the surface. And I did copy the color node and used it here, but I'm gonna disable the multiply and the saturation and leave the gamma and everything. So we're exposing the same textures the same way for now. Yeah, I think I'm gonna delete a portion and only work on one area. So okay, I think our textures are, yeah, it should work. It's mixing both textures, inside and outside, and we can do this. We can multiply it with a completely different color to make sure that it's working. Could be flipped. No, it is not. So that's our interior surface, and this is our exterior surface. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna expose it a bit more and also give it an orange tint or a red tint. Okay, so the next thing is mix top and bottom, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a color node, and I just want to make the top brighter. So this is top, and I'm gonna gain it one step, and then this mix is gonna mix between the top and the bottom. So the bottom is going to be the same. And I'm going to connect that here. And if we hit render, we should see variation between the two layers. Yeah, it's the other way around. So the bottom is brighter at the moment. And I'm gonna just swap this or move this. Let's swap them. Okay. Cool. So the next thing, because we are potentially going to need these in the render, I'm gonna also export them as AUVs. So I'm gonna use a mix node. I'm gonna say red and blue. I'm gonna mix them with this. I'm gonna create an AUV write node, AUV write RGBA. I'm gonna connect it here after the shader. And this is my data. Okay, so this is the mix, and I'm gonna call this inside. I'm gonna copy this one more time and do the same thing for the group. And call this group. Now let's go to the out context and dive inside. We need an AV called group, which is going to map directly to that surface, to that AV, and then inside. And if we hit render now, we should get our render going as usual, and then two extra AUVs, one called inside and one called group, that will have the masks if we wanted to control this. And then we can use the red channel to treat the exterior faces, the red channel for the interior faces, and then the group will separate both of them, so top and bottom. And we need to fix this. Let's go here. So mix, this is going to be the mix. That's it. This is our initial AUV setup, and we're going to add a few more things in the next videos. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.